I saw Spider-Man Far From Home 3 times in theaters 3 days in a row. I went opening night with my brother, the next night with my ex-girlfriend, and then the next night with some co-workers of mine at the time. I liked the movie so much that I didn't really mind seeing it so much in such a short amount of time. But now, almost a year and a half removed, I don't really have an interest watching it again. I'm not saying I'll never watch it again. If it's on TV or something, I'll definitely leave it on the background of whatever I'm doing. I'm just not going out of my way to put it on myself. There's just something about that movie that hasn't really made me want to come back ever since I got out of my third showing. For a while, I thought it was because I was tired of it, but recently, because Spider-Man Miles Morales is coming out, I played through the story of 2018's immaculate Spider-Man PS4, and weirdly enough, replaying that game made me realize why I didn't really care to replay the movie. I do not care about Mysterio. Okay, let me explain. I like Mysterio, aka Quentin Beck, a lot actually. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is great and that he gives a really engaging performance. When he yells about the drones at the end of the movie, I was really sold on him as a fucked up supervillain.
You're in the strike zone. The chance of getting hit is...
Fire all the drones now!
The thing is, an actor can only do so much to sell the character. The writing and backstory, especially in a comic book movie, are quintessential to get you to care about a man who wears a green robe and a fishbowl on his head. And that's precisely where Far From Home really loses me and why I don't think it hit me quite as hard as other Spider-Man movies and why it hasn't stuck with me at all. In Far From Home, the audience is told originally that Beck is somebody from an alternate dimension who came to our world because of one of the Infinity Gauntlet stamps. However, later on it's revealed that he's actually a disgruntled Stark employee who wants revenge on the deceased millionaire, specifically by controlling Edith, Stark's glasses technology from Infinity War. It's a somewhat entertaining backstory, and the audience is easily able to understand his motivation. Beck's antics are fun to watch too, and the sequences where he puts Peter in a visual hell are incredible. But when I watch Mysterio, I kind of feel nothing. And that's because Beck doesn't have any sort of connection with Peter. Not to say that Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Gyllenhaal's Mysterio don't have any sort of chemistry. A lot of fun to watch on screen and even off screen where it's obvious the two enjoyed their time together. No, the connection I'm talking about between Mysterio and Peter Parker is more of an emotional one. The two have nothing to connect them together, no other side to the relationship other than the fact that Mysterio wants new Stark. They're originally introduced as Mysterio and Peter Parker, and no time is ever given to the two outside of fighting crime in Europe. When Mysterio attacks Peter's friends, there's no real emotional depth as to why he might be doing that other than that they're Peter's friends. In my opinion, the best Spider-Man villains, and especially the ones in the movies and the games, are the ones that know Peter on a personal level. The ones that Peter looks up to or idolizes in some way or plays some sort of other significant meaning to some part of his life as Peter Parker. This is where Far From Home fails. Beck and Peter do not know each other personally, they have no stakes in each other's personal lives, and their relationship outside crime fighting does not matter because it doesn't exist. The movie tries desperately to make Beck seem like he's going to be some sort of new mentor slash father figure to Peter, but because you see his turn coming from a mile away, because he's really only trying to mentor Spider-Man and not Peter, it fails. Look back at the best Spider-Man villains portrayed in media other than comics, the issue only becomes more glaring. Let's look at Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin in the first Raimi movie, for instance. Almost immediately, within the first 10 minutes of the relationship, the stakes are laid out between Tobey Maguire's Peter and Dafoe's Green Goblin. Norman is Peter's best friend's father, and also a figure that Peter certainly looks up to in the science world. Right away, you understand what Peter could lose in a potential battle with Norman, who is someone that skip it, go watch it, it's great, and if you don't, you're racist. Vulture from Homecoming is a pretty good example of a villain that lends a personal aspect to his relationship with Peter. It doesn't come until late in the film, but when you find out that Vulture is Peter's girlfriend's father, the movie completely turns on its head, especially when Vulture finds out who Peter himself is. The entire scene between the two in the car is filled with anxiety, and when the two have a heart-to-heart once Liz leaves the car, the audience is filled with dread. Vulture knows who Peter is, and Peter knows who Vulture is, and they know each other's personal lives, and Peter knows just how bad Vulture can ruin everything. While the personal side of their relationship isn't really displayed until late in the film, the emotional crux is still there, and it's still highlighted strongly. I've seen the Raimi trilogy and Homecoming 1,000 times before, and I even watched them all again this quarantine, but even my rewatches didn't really open my eyes to my issue with Far From Home until I played through Spider-Man PS4 in preparation of Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5. In Spider-Man PS4, Peter ends up working for Otto, who is someone who he obviously holds in high regard. What's really interesting here is that Insomniac uses the old idea that heroes make their villains and really turns it on its head, having Peter himself work on Octavius's arms and having to watch his former hero crawl into villainy. Playing through this game really opened my eyes to the importance that personal relationships play into a hero like Spider-Man and his rogues gallery. Peter lionized Otto. He wanted to be just like him. He even patterned aspects of his life and philosophy after Otto, so when he becomes Doc Ock, he's destroyed and has to decide what he's going to do when the time comes to battle the Doc. The final battle is especially important when Octavius lets it slip that he knew Spider-Man was Peter the whole time and still caused him all this trouble and a sickness that led to the death of his aunt.
You knew. I won't let you win. This means too much to me. Not more than it means to me!
When he finally defeats Doc Ock, Peter has to make the decision to help him and believe that there is an ounce of goodness left in him, or leave him there for a life in prison.
You rest easy, knowing your secret is safe with me. You do what you think is best, Doc. It's all any of us can. Peter? Even when it hurts like hell.
Peter working with Otto, the two getting to know each other, and Peter literally creating his own nemesis, all play a hand in making you care about Dr. Octavius's turn and the straight relationship the two have, which is a far more effective portrayal than in Far From Home. In Far From Home, the writers try to make Beck a friend of Spider-Man, but when you reveal he's a disgruntled Stark employee,
that my technology could change the world. And then he fired me. Said I was unstable. To Tony!
he becomes much more of a villain of Stark's than Spider-Man's. There's no personal aspect of their relationship that ties the two together, other than the fact that they both knew Tony. This ends up leaving me feeling empty, because I'm not holding out hope that Beck won't turn to evil. I don't really care if he turns out to be evil, because the writers don't make you care. There's no reason to care about Beck and Peter's relationship whatsoever. There's no personal side, there's no cross-section between the duo's personal and quote-unquote professional lives. Beck is just somebody Tony wronged, and Peter is the person in his way. Nothing connects the two besides that, and it stops the audience from connecting with the movie. Instead, even after an enjoyable 2 hours or so, it leaves the viewer empty inside, just like a bunch of junk food for your eyes and your heart. If only Far From Home could leave a taste, too.